Here, as I turn down the audio, sorry about that. Another live event as we are taking a look out of Washington, D.C., as Democrats are protesting the Department of Government Efficiency. That's coming up next.
They've loved their country. They've highly favored their faith. They believed in an America that was for all people. They get up every morning. They put on their clothes and they come to buildings like this all over the country to do a simple, nonpartisan job, and that is to serve the people of America with the best service they can provide. Yes, they work hard. Yes, they play by the rules. Yes, they love their country. Yes, they cherish their faith. And yes, they want a fair shot. What we're seeing coming out of Washington is anything but that. Every time you hear DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, you just remember it is the Department of Government Evil. Over.
And also, could you mention some of the things that your team has found, some of the crazy numbers, including the woman that walked away with about $30 million?
Right.
Etc.
Well, we do find it sort of rather odd that there are quite a few people in the bureaucracy who have ostensibly a salary of a few $100,000, but somehow manage to accrue tens of millions of dollars in net worth while they are in that position, which is, what happened at USAID. We're just curious as to where it came from. Maybe they're very good at investing, in which case we should take their investment advice, perhaps. But just there seems to be mysteriously they get wealthy. We don't know why. Where does it come from? And I think the reality is that they're getting wealthy at the taxpayer expense. That's the honest truth of it.
I find it rich by the Democrats. As you saw from my intro, Democrats are protesting, federal workers are protesting, and the Democrat that you saw in my second intro before the Musk clip, he made a claim that I find like just a blatant lie. They say they work in a nonpartisan faction, and they follow the rules. That's what he says, right? That's what he said, correct? FEMA supervisor lied about threats to get workers to skip Trump homes, special counsel found. There was no report in Highland County of safety concerns at properties with Trump 2024 campaign signs. Discrimination based on partisanship, right? Fired FEMA supervisor Marion, I think that's how you say it, or Marin, Washington, lied about her instructions in Florida for relief workers to avoid houses advertising Trump, according to the complaint filed by the Office of Special Counsel. The Office of Special Counsel found a complaint against Washington on Thursday, recommending that she face further disciplinary action over her guidance to skip homes of Trump supporters in Lake Placide, Florida. The OSC found that the instructions were first reported on by the Daily Wire and was not based on any credible threat reported against FEMA workers, as Washington claimed. But if you Trump supporters are dangerous, what do you expect FEMA to do? Not protect their workers, said the federal employees. But they do their job honestly, right? Democrats. They work on behalf of the American people and they just doing their job. Job doing what? Being political advocates for the Democratic Party? That's what it seemed like to me. If you look at government, it's ran by a bunch of leftists. I think this is what the real reason why the Democrats are defending it tooth and nail. And the funny part about all this, as you saw from the intro, all these directors who run these governments, they happen to get rich, making more, around $180,000 a year. And somehow they're worth, 10, 20 years later, they're worth $30 billion? How, Sway? How? Explain that for me. America, Democrats, this is where you lost. Your brand is America last. Democrats are American last. If they're mad about something, it's not in the behest of the American people. It's in the behest of themselves. And they're losing leverage to justify maybe their enrichment, their control, their influence. Everything they outrage about has something particularly to do with them. And they got this new talking point now about constitutional crisis, and we'll get more into that in this video. But I kind of want to show you that Democrats themselves have literally become a meme.
Okay, people, we've discovered some incredible abuses of the budget. I mean, really, where are you getting off with these insane expenditures? $10 million spent on body positivity for Haitians in captivity, $8 million on glitter bombs for Saudi Arabian imams, and $9 million on chocolate fondue for East Ukrainian Hebrews.
They have just as much a right to chocolate fondue as anyone, you Nazi!
Well, I'm sorry, but it has to be cut.
No! If you cut $10 million from the CFEUH budget, what's next? Cutting our $3 million budget to give free McFlurries to Pakistani furries?
Well, now that you bring it up...
Oh, come on!
Oh, wow. That's, yeah, no, we're definitely cutting that.
This is insanity. You're letting our budget get cut by literal babies!
Because even an infant can balance these books better than you. I mean, come on, people, come on. 50 million taxpayer dollars for Kool-Aid water fountains for North Korean accountants, abortion on demand for pandas in Japan, 1,000 packs of Smarties for Iraqi slumber parties.
If you touch any of the Iraqi slumber party budgets, I will shoot you myself.
I'm sorry, but it has to go.
This is clearly a slippery slope to canceling our program to destigmatize marijuana for Latinx folks in Uganda.
Your budget for that is $9 million, and frankly, I think you can do it for 8.
You genocidal freak!
Like I told you, liberals are becoming a meme. Ridiculous. Everything about pushing their ideology, pushing their worldview. Let's flip it. Imagine we find the government pushing, let's say, things that leftists disagree with. A lot of leftists are atheists. Let's say we found a bunch of government money being used to propagandize people into religious activities. Let's say that. Let's say, well, we're going to push religion across the world. They'll call us a theocracy. Oh my God, we're not a theocracy. You can't push your values and beliefs on other countries and other peoples of distinct different cultures. But that's exactly what leftists are doing with government money. This is what they're mad about. They're mad that they're losing control over management of the community resources. This is why I don't like communism. But, I digress. Because people who want communism, they don't want to be the people who, the resources get taken away from. They have no power or leverage. No, they want to go into a position and be able to manage those resources. And they get to distribute it based on their purview. Too much centralized power. The reason Dems imported so many illegals was to achieve permanent one-party rule, just like what happened in California. There's an attempt to turn America into a one-party state. What I see happening under the Biden-Kamala administration is a desperate attempt to import as many people as possible into swinging the election into their favor. This has been known for years. Since the 80s, since Thomas Sowell been around, the rhetoric around the immigration policy often masks the real issue. It's less about helping immigrants, and more about manipulating demographics and economic outcomes for political gain. Who does that sound like? The Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is America last. No liberal in the comment section can debate that, because at the end of the day, you can tell me the intentions all you want. Kenny, this is the intentions of FEMA. This is the intentions of FEMA. FEMA didn't spend money on migrants. Department of Homeland Security announces $380 million in additional funding to communities receiving migrants, a.k.a. what? That's sanctuary cities, is that not? FEMA rewards $110 million to emergency food and shelter programs to assist migrants. Remember, in leftist language, they don't make any distinction between illegal immigrants and legal immigrants. We'll continue. Department of Homeland Security announces distribution of more than $77 million in constitutional funding for communities receiving migrants. Sound like more money going to sanctuary cities. New York City to get $104 million from FEMA for asylum seekers. Asylum seekers, a code word for illegal immigrants. All of this is for a Democrat political gain, but Democrats are out here shouting, "Oh my God," pretending like they're actually fighting for the American people when the American people see through y'all ish. Y'all care about this new buzzword they got. All right, constitutional crisis. Let's take a look at it, because this is how ridiculous the Democratic Party is, right? Oh, it got background music, but let's play this. I'll play this as I give my commentary, right? Okay, dumb. A constitutional crisis causing a constitutional crisis in a constitutional crisis. So original. No, it doesn't. It's not like you guys went in the back room and talked y'all talking points. This is the same thing that made Americans lose trust in the authenticity of the Democratic Party. We see all your criticisms of Donald Trump as nothing more than political. That's the reality. Oh, but these FEMA workers, they're not partisan. They're just hardworking Americans who trying to do their job, who just want a chance. What are you trying to do? Gaslight us? Isn't it funny? Democrats wanted to hire, I think, 80,000 IRS agents to audit us. Then Elon Musk pitched an idea to Donald Trump. Hey, we should make the Department of Government Efficiency. Trump said, that's a good idea. We should do that. We should audit the government because at the end of the day, the government is by the people, right? Correct? So the people say, we want to audit. We hired somebody, Donald Trump, to appoint Elon Musk to do that job. And what Democrats do, they shout, no one voted for Elon Musk. No one voted to spend all these millions of dollars for migrants, for asylum seekers. No one voted for these people to decide that for us. Democrats didn't run on giving money to asylum seekers and migrants at the American people's expense. $380 million going to shelters for migrants? Huh? But who? At what expense? At what expense? Democrats are America last.
It strikes me as breathtakingly ironic. The cynic might say cynical. That the people who are screaming so loudly about President Trump's decision to audit federal spending are the very same people under President Biden who wanted to hire 80,000 new IRS agents with guns to audit the American people. As I've said before, if it weren't for double standards, there wouldn't be any standards at all in this town. The battle lines are drawn, Mr. President. The battle lines are drawn. Some of my colleagues have decided to support the bureaucracy and the spending porn over the American taxpayer. That's what they've done. And some of the same people, it's not just my Democratic colleagues, there are many people in Washington, D.C. that have grouped together and they've circled the wagons and they've decided to support the spending porn and the bureaucrats over the American taxpayer. That's their right. It's not against the law or unconstitutional to be foolish in America. But these are the same people. These are the same people who chose to support illegal immigration over the rule of law.
It's a constitutional crisis. Constitutional crisis. The New York Times says that Musk's assertion without proof that the bureaucracy riffed with fraud. Seriously, the GAO under Biden estimated last year that we are losing $200 to $521 billion per year to fraud. Guys, it's right there. Why do you continue with this fraud? Shake my damn head. All right, this is the Democratic Party, and we already know the New York Times got paid by by USAID, $3.1 million. Yeah, New York Times, you heard it here, right? And now look at them. Fraud risk management between 2018 and 2022, data show federal government loses an estimate $233 billion to $521 billion annually to fraud based on various risk environments. The Government Accountability Office, but they don't want any accountability. Thomas Sowell quote, I always got to sprinkle these quotes in. Emotion neither proves nor disproves facts. There were a time when irrational adults understood this. It seems like Democrats and liberals are painting themselves in a corner here. But years of dumbed-down education and emphasis on how people feel have left too many people unable to see through media gimmicks. Isn't this a media gimmick, guys? Isn't this a media gimmick? The media said, and the media was paid off by the government. Why wouldn't they say that? Why wouldn't they defend bureaucrats? Because that's the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party, when they scream threat to democracy, it's not a legitimate threat to democracy. What they're screaming about is a threat to their bureaucracy. Will the Biden administration go down as one of the most corrupt administrations in U.S. history? Breaking documents indicates that Joe Biden's White House was involved in orchestrating the federal classified documents case against Donald Trump from the beginning. But constitutional crisis, says the Democrats. Democrats, y'all, I'm tired of y'all. But end of the day, you're Americans just like me. So I want to play this clip that I think every Democrat, if they were smart, they'll listen. Because right now, y'all in disarray. I don't know what to do with yourselves. Y'all no one believe y'all. Y'all like the boy who cried wolf. Everyone's looking at you like, yeah. Constitutional crisis, yeah. Threat to democracy, yeah. Democrats, y'all the part of bureaucracy. Y'all defend bureaucracy. That's what y'all look like. That's what y'all look like. Because y'all disagree with everything Trump do, even though he has 70% approval rating with what he's doing right now. Everyone thinks he's keeping his promises. Right now, he has 53% approval rating, the highest approval rating he ever had in his political career. Ever. And how y'all choose to respond to that? By blatantly defending or rejecting or going against every little thing he does. It makes your disagreement look illegitimate. It looks political. It looks unserious. It looks very performative. Just like y'all practice y'all talking points about a constitutional crisis. Maybe I'll do a separate video on this, but this is about y'all. Y'all can't be serious. If y'all continue this, I will caution every American in this country never to vote Democrat again, because y'all need a timeout. It seems like Democrats need a timeout, guys. Let me know in the comment section. Do you think Democrats need a timeout? I think Democrats need a timeout.
Rising star in the party, Maryland Governor Wes Moore, didn't mince words when it comes to the Democrats' biggest problem. Part of the reason some Democrats have struggled with messaging is because voters don't believe them. Strong messaging comes from having a core grasp of and a strong belief in what it is you're trying to do. Former Congressman Dean Phillips with us. Good to see you, sir, as always. I think the problem, yes, is some don't believe, but more importantly, and this just came across, in the past 7 days, MSNBC and CNN, extensions, I think, of Democratic talking points, have said that there is a threat, that we are in a constitutional crisis 200 times. When everything's a crisis, when everything's a hill to die on, when democracy's under the threat, I don't think anybody believes it anymore.
And I have to agree, Leland. And by the way, what this really is, most Americans can no longer relate, and the Democratic Party has seemed to abandon the overwhelming majority of Americans about what really matters. And I'm afraid that, as I've taken just the last 6 weeks as a former member of Congress, I got to tell you, Leland, I'm looking at this from the lens of a TV screen rather than being in the arena in Washington. And man, do I understand why people are so dismayed and disgusted. Yeah. And there's a dearth of leadership. I think Governor Moore was spot on. And until Democrats stop getting in front of microphones, spewing, and get out into America, especially rural America, and start listening, there is no future. And that's why every time I've been on your show recently, I do believe it is time for competition for both parties, because the overwhelming...
I know he's a Democrat. He had to throw in, there's competition, but there is already competition. Like, if you think about the Republican side versus the Democratic side, who the Republicans can run? We got Byron Donalds, we got Ron DeSantis, we got J.D. Vance, obviously, right? We have competition. We have 3 people literally we can just put up, like, in numbers. We can do J.D. Vance, Ron DeSantis, Byron Donalds. Like, we have names we can throw around for presidential elections going in the next 16 years. But what do you have, Democrats? Talking about competition. There was no competition for the primary. Trump, you saw the Republican primaries in 2023? Damn near everybody and their mama was running to be the Republican nominee, and Trump still won. So I don't know where Dean Phillips get this. I just think he did that just to, both sides it. But when you look at the reality, Democratic Party are the parties of no competition, or we anoint people to be our nominee. Dean Phillips should have been y'all nominee for 2028. Not 28. In the past election. Look how he's like, man makes clear, obvious sense. He don't outright demonize Trump supporters just because they don't agree with his politics. This is the kind of tactics that Democrats should have been taking. But no, that takes humility. That takes compassion, which the Democrats don't have. Because they want it their way. Why? Because they want power.
Majority of Americans, center right and center left, the exhausted majority, I think, are really tired of a lot of this nonsense on both the right and the left.
It does. Hey, I agreed with everything up to the last 10 seconds. Because it's plainly obvious to many people that Republicans just are being practical here. Hey, look, if you can't balance your budget, how are you supposed to run? How are you supposed to run your household effectively? That's relatable. I don't know where he's getting this from. I just think he's a Democrat. He has to defend his side a little bit. He just finished lambasting them and co-signing criticism against them. So I guess he does this as a way of saying, see, look, I'm still a Democrat. I'm just trying to help. But it's very hard as a Democrat to fight against this messaging here.
I have high approval ratings because I'm using common sense, whether it's getting men out of women's sports. I mean, have you seen what goes on with the boxers and with the weightlifters and with the swimmers and everything? It's so ridiculous. And I think it's a 90% issue. And, the amazing thing, the Democrats are still fighting for it. It's crazy. It's crazy. I think we should go to Congress also, have that cemented and, make it indelible. But it's, to me, it's all common sense. Who wants an open border where prisons are dumped into our country, where prisoners are led into our country, many of whom are murderers, many of whom murdered far more than one person, and they're now roaming our country? Who wants that? I mean, it's
common sense. Who wants that? That's what Democrats are fighting against, because Donald Trump's on that side. Because Donald Trump agreed with this issue. Donald Trump is parroting this issue. Okay, we got to parrot the opposite because we can't look like we're siding with Trump. That's the liberals' biggest problem. Trump can say 2 + 2 is 4, and they'll argue that it's 5, just to spite Trump. That's the brand of the Democratic Party. Counter Trump, counter Trump. Okay, then Trump's like, oh, they'll counter everything else. Say, really? You don't want to be on the same side as me? Okay, let me take all the popular issues, and then you have to reflectively go against it. But you want to blame both sides, Dean Phillips. Hey, okay, go. Pretend like the Republicans need preaching to. Republicans learned their lesson already. Republicans don't need you to tell us both sides. There's a reason Trump won the popular vote. Oh, center right, center left people are just tired. No, that's just a narrative and interpretation you're trying to get off the ground. Democrats lack common sense. The biggest political mistake Democrats ever did was making common sense a right-wing thing. Once you make common sense a right-wing thing, everyone's like, oh, I guess I'm a Republican now. Democratic Party is the party of uncommon sense. But I digress. I'll leave it at there. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comment section below. Do you agree with what I had to say on this channel? Disagree? Like to hear it in the comment section below. Do you think the Democratic Party can ever recover? And if so, how long do you think it'll take before the Democratic Party finally realize that common sense is not a right-wing issue, a right-wing ideology? Let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate you guys watching to the end of the video. Share the video if you feel so inclined, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.